All right, welcome to the 2013-2014 Cord Electric Players Guide. This is a series of videos in order to get everybody up to speed on exactly how the heck this complicated-ass rule system works. So we're going to have a series of videos about 10 minutes long apiece that are pointing out the different aspects of the system. I think it's useful for even existing owners to look at least at some of these. The first one we're going to look at is some rule basics about players' positioning and scoring. This one is probably one that existing owners don't need to focus in on as much, but other ones, future episodes about the financial system, trading, the expansion draft, the concept of want in the auction, all those different aspects are going to come into play in a pretty serious way. I am your commissioner, Minnie Stern, and let's get right to it. So if you're taking a look at our screen right here, it's a whole heck of a lot of screen here. We've obviously got our main page at blb.basketball.cbssports.com. And the initial way that this system is going to work, we've, of course, got 12 teams now. Welcome to Scuba Dank and the Fat, Drunk, and Stupid, exclamation point. The positions that a team has, every team has 15 players on their team, 8 of which are starting any given week. Every week there are it is head-to-head matchups. Each team plays one other team in a matchup winner take all. So that lineup that is started, out of your 15 players, you must start 8 players, and they have to technically be, as we see here, 1 center, 1 big, which we'll define shortly, 2 forwards, 1 swingman, 2 guards, and a point guard. So obviously the rest of the positions are pretty obvious. The one big unknown position, or 2 of them rather, are the big and the swingman. So Sportsline doesn't have those positions, our website here, but we define them as a big being a power forward or a center, as listed by Sportsline's positions, and a swingman being any small forward or shooting guard by Sportsline. So, and the big key there is as well, to emphasize this, is that we only go on positions based on Sportsline's positions. We used to do it a different way, that we would have our own positions based on 82games.com actual position values. To simplify it a lot more, we just say whatever Sportsline says positions are, the players actually are. So if you look in the rule book, for example, there's a whole list of players that Sportsline has changed their positions. As we take a look here in our actual rule book, the Cord Electric 2013-2014 rule book that is shared on Google Drive, that Word document, Andrea Bargnani has moved to power forward. Anthony Davis, one of my players, has moved to power forward. Bismack Biyombo has moved up to center. Mari Stoudemire has moved up to center. Rodney Stuckey has moved down to shooting guard, and so on and so forth. So those positional changes do come in if your player is seems to be in a different lineup position or something than what Sportsline has it listed as. Let me know, and I will adjust that, because some players that have that change from year to year, it may be a little bit different. But in any case, you start those 8 players. So at the very end, the only positions that are basically actually required, then you have to have 1 point guard and you have to have 1 center. The other ones are fixed. It are flexible rather. You can have 3 power forwards, for example, on a team. You don't necessarily have to have any small forwards. You could have 3 point guards, a shooting guard, and then 3 power forwards and a center in what we would consider a big lineup. Or you could go the other way and have 3 point guards, a shooting guard, I kind of screwed that up, but you get what I'm saying. If you wanted a big lineup, 1 point guard, 3 shooting guards, 3 power forwards, and a center. If you wanted to go a really, really small ball lineup, you go 3 point guards, 1 shooting guard, 2 small forwards, and then a power forward and a center. So you can go small ball, you can go big ball, you can go medium ball. You can have big balls, small balls, whatever kind of balls work out for you, 1 nut, whatever it happens to be. So that is our actual lineups. If you take a look at even my lineup that I have, here you can see that I'm, if this would be a valid lineup, if this ended up being my team, obviously we haven't done the auction or anything yet, but based on some of my current keepers and potential other guys or something, I have Ty Lawson and Derrick Rose both at the point, Eric Gordon and James Harden both at shooting guard. Effectively, James Harden is a swing man. Anthony Davis, Paul Millsap being my effective just forwards, and then Enes Kanter and Joakim Noah. Enes Kanter being effectively my big, whereas Joakim Noah is effectively being my center. And then, of course, you got all your backups. So that is the general positioning, and that's the general lineups. When we look at over to scoring, so the scoring system works as follows, and I think you can kind of look at, let's see if we look at an individual positioning thing that's based on scoring. We can look at a little lineup here. These are all players. Let's do all players and do the actual scoring system so we can kind of see that. They're a little out of order, but that'll still show some of it here. So based on scoring, these are some of the rankings. Now, the rankings that are on Sportsline, just note that those are some sort of internal predictive sort of scoring rankings on Sportsline. They aren't actually relevant necessarily to our league. In our league, Brandon Jennings was not the 7th most valuable guy in the league. Trust me. So, any case, if we take a look at these scoring values, now the big key here is we do a category head-to-head. So we do head-to-head roto effectively, but we do a weighted category head-to-head roto, which means that you play one opponent every week. I think there's 20 weeks in the season or something like that. And you play one opponent, and whoever wins the most categories wins the week. We have 10 category points, but we only actually have 7 categories or something like that. I think that's probably an easy math of looking at it right here. 4. We have 7 categories, and but some of the categories are weighted. So in typical traditional roto, you've got every category being the same. So that means a good free throw shooter is just as valuable as the best scorer in the league. I think that's pretty messed up. So we have weighted categories to better reflect the real NBA talent. So points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game are weighted as being worth 2 categories. So if you as a team won nothing but points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game, you would actually have 6 category points. You would beat anybody in the league no matter what they do with the rest. So clearly those are the big dog categories, 2 points apiece. Now there are the 1-point categories, which are steals, which are blocks, and which are field goal percentage. So blocks, field goal percentage, and steals per game, each one of those are worth 1 point, a 1-point category. And then there is 2 categories left. You may see they are the half-point categories, 3-pointers per game and 3-point percentage. Both of those are obviously important. If you shoot a high percentage at threes, but you only shoot 2 a game, that's nice, but it's not great. And same thing, if you shoot tons of threes but only shoot it at a 30% clip, again, it's nice that you're hitting so many threes, but you're having to take so many. That's also inefficient. So they have value, but they're not as important as how many blocks your teams are getting or this or that. In conjunction, they're worth 1 point, but they could split. So teams could be getting 7.5 to 2.5, or get 6.5 to 3.5 or something like that. But as you notice, that means that there's 10 category points that they can also get 5 to 5. So we have fairly frequent ties. What happens if you get a tie? If you get a tie, our tiebreaker category is free throws. So as you know, in regular roto fantasy basketball, free throw percentage is a whole category on itself, way overscored, like in roto baseball, like steals being overscored. So in ours, we don't have it being overscored, but it is still important because of tiebreakers. Think of it as the free throws at the end of a game or something. So your clutch free throw making is what's going to be important here. So if a team is tied, if 2 teams are tied 5 to 5, we do go through free throw percentage to decide who is the winner. So that's the actual scoring system. Those are the individual positions. We're going to do our next video about the salary structure and what the heck is this thing that we call want. Take care, and we'll see you next episode.